Hello everyone, how's it going? In this video, we're going to see how we can develop a Flask server and then deploy it on a website like Heroku so that the whole world can see your Flask project. Let's see how we can build this. For this project, I'm going to be using PyCharm, and all the dependencies and everything will be installed through PyCharm. If you need me to do it on a Linux computer or some other platform, let me know and we can work towards it. We're also going to be developing a simple Flask server, which is just going to print hello world if you click on the home page. That's it. If you want me to do something on a bigger scale, like building a whole web application, let me know and we can work towards that. So the first thing is we have PyCharm open up and we are creating a new project, and we'll call this project Heroku Pilot. Just an initial word, and here it gives us an option, create a main.py welcome script, and we'll do that. We are also having a virtual environment clicked here, and the reason for a virtual environment is you want to keep all your packages under a small shell within the computer so that all the dependencies that you're installing, it doesn't affect the main system. So you want to create a virtual environment so it creates a small shell, a small bubble where your program resides. And we go and just create this application. So PyCharm will do the virtual environment installation, all the basic dependencies that are required, and then create the Python file for us. So we have this main.py file running here. The first thing I want to go and change this main.py file to a word called app.py. So we'll call it app.py instead of main.py. So come here and then where it says rename file, so just click on rename, and instead of main.py, we will call it as app.py. And I'll go over this, why we are doing this in a later stage. But for now, just understand that we're changing the main.py to app.py. So you can see that app.py changed, and here instead of main.py, it's calling it as app.py. So if you run this application, it reads this, or it prints this word PyCharm, and it's running fine. So app.py is perfectly fine. Now let's start the Flask part. So first thing, I'm going to go into the terminal right here on the bottom section. If you don't see it, you can go into the Windows section and look into one of these options. It should allow you to open up this terminal section, or you can go into Windows and go under one of these appearances toolbar size. It should allow you to look into that. If you're not able to see it, let me know in the comments and I'll help you with that. But you're going to the terminal and you're now installing Flask. For that purpose, we are using pip. We say pip install Flask. This Flask is with a small f, so just pay attention to the caps. So this one is a small f, and I just press enter, and it will install the Flask and all its dependencies right here for us. Now, if you do pip freeze, it will print all the dependencies that it installed for that Flask purpose. Now, we want to create a requirements.txt file, and this file will house all this information about all the dependencies that your project is using. Because when we are going to be deploying it on Heroku, we need to let Heroku know what kind of dependencies your project is needing, and you can install all these dependencies as I need them. So we come here, and instead of just pressing pip freeze, we now say pip freeze with this greater sign or angle bracket, and we say requirements.txt. So we're just saying pip freeze to put all that information about all my dependencies into the requirements.txt file, and just press enter. And it'll take a few seconds and it will create a requirements.txt file here. Now, in the meantime, let me just remove all of this information here and create it as a blank file. So you can see now that there is a requirements.txt file available for us. And if you click on this, it shows all the dependencies that our project is using, and it's available for us. Now, let's come into the app.py file, and we'll create a simple Flask application, a very basic application. So we say from Flask import Flask. So that's the basic requirement. And we will create our new app called as app, and we'll call it as Flask name. So we have app Flask and _name _bracket. So this is the name of the file or name of the server, the Flask server. So that's the reason we have app, and we are trying to define this app and this app as the same. We're saying under app.py file, we have a server called app. So that's how we are naming this convention. And once we have this, now we'll start creating the routes. And the first route would be our index route or the home route. And we'll say app.route. And we'll say this is going to be the basic route or our index homepage route. So we just put the slash over there. And we say define index. And our index is going to be return hello YouTube. So if we go into this home page, it will just simply read this word hello YouTube for us, and we just put it down here. Good. We'll initialize the main function. So if name equal to or double equal to main, if the name is equal to main, then app.run. So we are just saying that this is our Flask server, and if we go to this home page, it should just print as hello YouTube, and that's all it's going to be doing. And if we run this, let's run this, and it should create the server. Looks like the debug mode is off, but that's okay, and we have a server created for us. Perfect. Let me close this. It's opening up a default web page for us, and it's calling hello YouTube. So our Flask server is running. Let me close this for now, and our server is now switched off. Now, once we have this Flask server, in your case, if you're trying to deploy a Flask running application, this is a stage where your application is running on your local computer and everything is working fine. Now you want to make changes and you want to make some new settings that will help Heroku run this application on their own server. First thing, come here and create a new file, and this file is called proc file, PROC file. This proc file is nothing but a profile file for your Heroku to inform that we are going to be using something called as gUnicorn, and we will use gUnicorn server to deploy this Flask website. So let me go into what gUnicorn is, and before I do that, let me clean this up. And we are installing a new library, a new dependency called as pip install gUnicorn. This gUnicorn is another type of a server. Now you might ask, we already have a server called Flask, or it could be a Django server, whatever server that you are using. We already have a Flask server. Why are we now using another server called gUnicorn? So the difference between gUnicorn and Flask is gUnicorn allows you to run multiple instances, multiple servers at the same time. Instead of Flask, Flask allows you to run only one instance of one particular application, but gUnicorn will allow you to run multiple. So that's the reason, and especially if you're deploying it on a website like Heroku, you want to do gUnicorn. So we just press install or enter, and it has installed the gUnicorn for us. Again, our requirements.txt file does not have the gUnicorn present in this, so we need to request our pip freeze to put down gUnicorn in our requirements.txt file. So we are just updating our requirements.txt file. So we say pip freeze, again the angle bracket or the greater sign, and we say requirements.txt, and we are just pressing enter, and it will update this txt file for us. Now you can see there's a new word, new line added. It's called the gUnicorn and the version number of the gUnicorn we are using. Once everything is done, come back to our proc file and write down this command. You're saying that we are running a web server and it is a gunicorn server. So make sure what I'm doing. Let me restart. I'll tell you. Web space gunicorn, and now you need to specify gunicorn what app you're running. So we say app app, and this app is nothing but specifying Heroku that our application, the main application, is residing under app.py file, and inside app.py file there is a server called app. So we're just letting gunicorn know that app and app are our application and our server files, and we just save this. So if we close this and reopen proc file, it still retains our information. Just double checking. Now the next stage you want to do is open up GitHub, and we have GitHub right here. Okay, now come up on GitHub. I already have signed in into my GitHub, and you can do the same. Once you have your GitHub opened up, now open up new, and I'll open up a new repository, and we'll say Heroku pilot. It doesn't matter what file name you give. It shouldn't be the same one which you gave. It can be anything else. You're just creating a new repository, and we'll say testing Heroku deployment. So we are just testing that, and we're initializing it with the README file. Git ignore is a good thing, but I think it already comes through the virtual env. But let's go ahead and now create the repository. So we have the Heroku pilot and our readme.py file, or readme file initialized, and we have our repository initialized. Now let's start adding the files. So upload files, and in this upload file, let's open up our page or our project folder, which is right here, and you can just click on right click or open in Explorer. Here, if you just come and right click on any of those files and come down here, open in Explorer, it'll open up the Explorer for us. And let me open up mine here, and we have our Heroku pilot, which is right here. So you can see it has all these files, the app, the proc file, the requirements file. This is the virtual environment files, all the dependencies installed in this particular file, and all these libraries. We are only going to be uploading these 3 files to our GitHub repository: the app, proc file, and the requirements file. So let's come back to our web page where our GitHub repository is present, and let's open up the PyCharm right here, and all of these 3 files, we're just going to be uploading it to our repository. So we're now going to commit those changes. We're going to say initial files uploaded. Once we have all of this, we just commit those changes, and it'll create our repository with the new files. Perfect. Now come into Heroku, and if you open up Heroku as a new file, it'll ask you to sign up. Let me try to see if it allows me to do, even though I'm logged in. No, it doesn't show me because I'm already logged in. But here I'll give you 2 options to either sign in or sign up or log in. So sign up, it'll ask you to put up your email, your name, password. It'll ask you to verify your email by saying it'll send you an email to your email, and you're clicking the link, and then it'll verify the username for you, and you create a password for yourself, and then log in. And this is the type of page you will come and see. Heroku allows you to deploy in multiple fashions as a full professional deployment, which is a paid version. But in our case, we're going to be going with the personal tier, which is the hobbyist tier, and this is more on a free version, and that's what we're using. And we have it under in this section where we are in the personal section, where it allows you to do it on a more cheaper scale without any fee. So basically free. And here, let's create a new app. And this new app, you're calling this, let's call this a new app. We say Heroku pilot. Let's see, it's not available. Test. Again, it's not available. Heroku pilot. It should be all small caps, it looks like. Heroku pilot 01. Okay, so Heroku pilot 01 seems to be available. We'll copy that just for our safe. And Heroku pilot 01, create app. And once we have this, it allows us a couple of deployment methods. You can use this with the Heroku command line interface, or you can use GitHub or the container registry. So you have all these three versions. Since we uploaded on GitHub, which is one of the easiest way, because GitHub allows you to, where you're connecting with your local computer and then make changes, and then Heroku will reflect those changes automatically. So let me come back here. We have Heroku pilot 01 opened up. We have GitHub, and here, if you're opening it for the first time, I'll ask you to connect your GitHub here. And in this case, just instead of, like in my case, it shows my GitHub repository. In your case, it'll ask you to connect your repository or sign into your repository. And then once you sign it, it should your repository name should come up, and you just put down Heroku. And Heroku, under Heroku, I have this repository called Heroku pilot that we just created here, and come back here and we just say connect. It'll take a few seconds and connect and install all the repositories. It's asking us which branch we are going to be deploying. In our case, it's the main branch, this main branch, and it's just taking that main branch for now. I'm also going to click on enable automatic deploys. What this means is, if you make any changes in your main repository, it'll reflect, and then Heroku will automatically deploy the changes. So this is automatic deploys are connected, and come here and just press deploy branch. It'll take a few seconds. It will install all the dependencies, all the libraries, and everything that it needs in order for us to install, or in order for us to run our server. And you can see that it's installing everything. It'll take a few seconds. Once everything is done, then our website should be ready to run. Let's see how this goes. And it looks like Heroku pilot 01 is deployed to Heroku, and it should almost be done. Done. Okay, so if we just press view, you can see that Heroku pilot 01 Heroku app, so it's under this domain name. Since we're using a free version, it'll give you under their domain name, and if you want it under your own domain name, then you're of course paying Heroku for one of those higher tiers. And you can see our Flask server is running. If for some reason you see any kind of errors, just come here more and view logs, click on view logs, or run the console. View logs will give you all the information about anywhere of any issues that you might arise. It'll give you instruction or give you information about whatever is not installed or whatever is not working properly. So yeah, this is just a basic deployment of Flask. I've had this request on my channel for a few days now, and this is just a deployment of a free version of Flask, or a basic Flask app. If you want me to do something on a larger scale, let me know and leave a comment in below, and we'll look into it. With that, take care, stay safe, bye-bye.